Hi lovelies, welcome back to the channel. If you're subbing for the first time, you're welcome. My name is Yolana, and today's video is going to be a different kind of video. It's not going to be a regular normal makeup tutorial that I would normally do over here. I would be showing you some tips and tricks I have learned along the way on this makeup journey. If you don't know, I have been doing makeup for a long time. I do makeup professionally, and I'm doing makeup for a while now. I think since 2015 to date. So there are things I have learned along the way. You know, trends have come, trends have gone, and along the way you get to learn some things and then unlearn some things as well. So I think that this video is very important for those who are just starting. So if you're a beginner, this video is going to be important to you. If you're also intermediate, it's also going to be important to you as well. And this video is not restricted to any form of skin type, like okay, an oily skin type or dry skin type. I'm going to just give tips and tricks for all types of skin as we go along this video. I'm going to do my makeup as well as I'm talking, okay? So now the first step when it comes to makeup application, that is when it comes to skin prep, would be for you to cleanse your face. That is the first step. If you know that you went to the bathroom and then from coming out from the shower you are applying your makeup, you don't need to actually cleanse your face because it's believed that your face is already clean, right? So there's no residue, there's no dirt on your skin. But for someone who's applying makeup hours after having his or her bath, after having her bath, then that person actually needs to have her skin cleansed. So I would advise that use a micellar water with your wipe or your cotton pad to just get rid of makeup residue. It just helps you overall. So that is what I would advise. Use a micellar water to cleanse your face. Okay. Now the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to makeup is that skin prep is very important. Skin prep is simply skin preparation, and it's very important because it determines how long your makeup will last and how the makeup is going to turn out. Okay, so it's going to determine the outcome of your makeup. That is when you're done with your makeup, how your makeup will look, and then the longevity of your makeup. Now for me, I have an oily skin, right? And I will normally have oil seeping through my skin in the T-zone, that is my nose, my chin here, and my forehead. So that's where I normally have oil produced. But then irrespective of that, I would say that someone who has an oily skin, a normal skin, a combination skin is a skin that has both oil and normal skin. That is, the T-zone you're oily, then the rest part of the face probably dry or normal skin. Then you have normal skin and then dry skin. I would highly recommend that you moisturize your face. Moisturize your face. For me, I feel like that is very important. And if you are someone who has an oily skin like I do, then you want to go light-handed on your moisturizer. You will not be applying a lot of moisturizer or a lot of product rather, if you understand what I'm saying. So I'm just going to apply moisturizer on my face. Now the essence of applying a moisturizer is that it prevents the makeup from having that very dry matte outcome. Even if you have oily skin, that very dry matte outcome it will have, because for someone who has oily skin, your product application teaches towards applying product that will kind of reduce the rate at which oil seeps through your skin, right? So for moisturizer, it just helps to give that natural glow, and I will always prefer that. Anyways, I will always advise have moisturizer on your face before you apply your. Now, having done that step, I would say the next step would be to apply your primer. Now, one thing that's very important when it comes to makeup application is to always wait before you apply your next product. So once you apply product A, before you apply product B, there should be a few seconds of waiting for the first product to sink in. So I already applied my moisturizer. I'm going to wait for it to sink into my skin before I go over to apply my primer. And it is also important to know that even though I have said that you should apply your products in such a way that you allow like 30 seconds break or 30 seconds interval between each product application, when it comes to concealer, it can be very tricky because there are some brands, like there are some concealer brands that if you allow the product to stay for too long, even as long as 30 seconds, they would become very difficult to blend. You will now start having that patchy look if you allow it to stay for long. just saying that, so be careful. Now when it comes to primer application, there are different types of primer. You have the hydrating primer, you have the oil mattifying or the oil block primer, you have the normal primer or primer cream, whatsoever type of primer. And this type of primer depends on the type of skin you have. So if you have an oily skin, you would definitely go for a mattifying primer. Now, a mattifying primer is a primer that will keep the oil at bay. It is not going to stop your oil from being produced. No, it will keep the oil at bay, at least for a longer period of time, compared to when you don't have a mattifying primer on. So if normally you can have your makeup on for about 3 hours before you start seeing oil seeping through, if you have a mattifying primer, it is possible that makeup can stay 4 or 5 hours before you start seeing makeup seeping through. So it's going to help to control, not stop oil production. Okay, so that's the essence of mattifying primer. So for someone who has oily skin, you go for a mattifying primer. For someone who has a dry skin, don't even go anything. Don't even go anywhere near a mattifying primer. You actually go for a normal primer or a radiant primer or a primer that gives you a glowy finish, a dewy finish, or a primer that is hydrated, because your skin lacks that kind of moisture and oil already. So you don't want to have a primer that is still mattifying if you have a dry skin. If you have a normal skin or normal to combination skin, you can go ahead and use just a normal dewy radiant gripping primer. But whatever type of primer you're using, it's important to know that one importance of primer is longevity. If you don't have a primer on and you have your makeup, and then you have a primer on and you have your makeup, the makeup that has a primer on it will last longer. That's the major importance of primer. It will make your makeup last longer, whether it is a radiant, glowing, hydrating, or it is a mattifying primer. They all make your makeup last longer. That is it, irrespective of the fact that they now have their individual function. Now for primer, I'm going to go over and apply my mattifying primer. Mattifying primer, the moment you apply it on your skin, you will notice that it looks as if the shine you will actually have naturally on your skin is just automatically wiped off. That's just one thing with mattifying primer. And I'm going to apply it just on my T-zone region. I don't know if you can tell, but that region now is looking as if it's kind of dry, looking dry already. That is the essence of it. That's what the mattifying primer does. So I'm going to apply it on my T-zone. Now I've allowed my moisturizer to sink in. That's why I can successfully apply this. And I also want you to note that different primers, different means of applying them. Okay, there are primers that for you to apply them, you need a beauty sponge or a beauty blender, or else you start having piling or peeling. That's that rubbing off effect you notice when you apply a product. It looks as if the product is rubbing off or peeling off your skin. Some primers are like that, so you need a beauty blender to apply those products or those primers. Another thing I wanted to notice that it's not because I said that mattifying primers have a poor oily skin and then you feel like you have oily skin, then you now apply mattifying primers all over your face. Please don't even try that. I have an oily skin on my face. I am not applying the mattifying primer all over my face. I'm applying it on the regions where oil will seep through quickly, which is my T-zone. So that's the same thing you should do. Apply it on the parts of the face that you know that it's most likely that within 3-4 hours you have oil seeping through. That's where you apply it on, not on your entire face. I applied moisturizer on my entire face. If you want to apply a primer on your entire face, then you go for a primer that is just a normal primer. That's for someone who has an oily skin. You want to apply a primer all over your face first, then you go for a primer that has a normal primer. It is not hydrating and it's definitely not mattifying. Then you apply it all over your face, apart from the regions that oil will seep through. Then the regions that oil will seep through, go for a mattifying primer only on those regions, or else you're going to end up having a makeup that looks as if you have concrete on your face. Because when you're applying makeup for someone who has an oily skin, you are layering mattifying product, so you have to be careful in the way you layer your mattifying product. The next step now will be for me to apply my foundation, and For someone who has an oily skin, you want to go for a foundation that is mattifying. If you have a skin that is not oily, dry skin, then you want to go for a foundation that is hydrating or has a dewy finish or a glowy finish. So your foundation should match your skin type and your skin need. That's true. So like I said, when it comes to concealer application, for some brand, if you try to wait before you blend in, which is what I'm doing now, it could be disastrous. So you have to know the type of concealer brand you are using. And the same thing with the foundation. If you are not using a beauty blender, you use a dense brush. If you're using a beauty blender, then the beauty blender has to be damp, either with water or with a setting spray. That is not a mattifying setting spray, just an ordinary regular setting spray, or best to just use water. The next thing I want to do is to apply a setting powder just in the regions where I already applied my concealer, just to highlight. That's one technique. You always apply a cream product before you apply your powder product. Most times that's what I do. One importance of applying a concealer under your eye and then going over it with a setting powder is it gets rid of any under eye bags that you may have. So that way it gives the illusion of you're awake. That's why even when you don't have foundation on, applying an under eye concealer is very important, and a setting powder, because it gives the illusion of you're awake. Even if you didn't sleep the entire night, it's not going to be obvious. So now the next thing that you might do is to apply your contour shade. Now a contour shade is a shade that is 2 shades darker than your complexion, and in applying contour shade you want to go underneath your cheekbones. Okay, so this is your cheekbone, this is the cheekbone, so you want to go underneath the cheekbone, that is here. That is where you want to apply your contour shade. Now in applying contour shade, when it comes to contouring your face, it's actually optional. It depends on you. I don't do that, but you can actually do that. Now the thing with contouring your face is it gives you more definition as opposed to just bronzing your face, right? You can skip contour and just go straight to bronzing, or you cannot just go with a contour shade and not bronze your face. So contouring is optional, then you go straight to bronzing if you want to do that, or contouring and bronzing, but never just contour. The next step for me would be to apply my bronzer. Like I said, I do not contour my face, I just go straight to applying bronzer. Now bronzer is also always darker than your complexion, your actual complexion, about 2 shades darker, and it is in more of a powdery format. You have bronzers that are not powdery, I guess. No, it is more of a powdery formula as opposed to a cream formula. Most times you find them in powder formula, and bronzer has this kind of warm undertone to it. I don't know how to describe it. Bronzer is warming, it just gives warmth to your face, so it doesn't give as much definition as a contour stick or contouring shade would do, but it gives warmth to your face. It sculpts your face a little, just a little bit. So that's a bronzer for you. So best believe if I had applied a contour shade or used a contour stick, my face would have been looking something like this, because contouring, like I said, gives more, it's more sculpting, gives more definition, make your face to have a more sharper look than just bronzing. But it is optional, it's not compulsory. And when it comes to applying your bronzer, the lower you go in applying your bronzer, the longer your face looks. Your face has this longer or sagging appearance. The higher you go, the more lifted your face looks. So if you apply your bronzer lower, your face is going to look like it's fallen or it has fallen. It's going to have this sagging appearance. So the next thing I'm going to do is going to reverse contour. Now reverse contour, or should I say reverse bronze in this case. Anyways, so I'm just applying my highlighter, that's the same highlighter applied underneath my eyes to underneath the region I already bronzed. The next thing for me to do is to apply a highlighter, and this is the highlighting brush. This is how a highlighting brush looks like. It has this fan appearance. It will be bigger in size or smaller or precise like this, or both, whatever, but this is how it comes. And you want to apply it on the regions of your face where you want a kind of shine, right? And if you want it to apply even more or come off or show up even more, then you just spray your brush with water or a setting spray and then apply it. But be careful when doing that, so because it's easier to blend it into the skin when it is applied directly without any form of setting spray. Now before I go on to do my lips, I want to talk about this step, which is your setting spray. Now different setting sprays and their unique functions. Obviously setting sprays, among other things, they help you to reduce the powdery effect of the makeup on your skin. When you finish applying makeup, your makeup is going to have this powdery or whitish appearance, which is absolutely normal. So with a setting spray, it's going to calm it down a bit or bring it down a bit, okay, so make your makeup look a bit more skin-like. But be that as it may, there are certain setting sprays that have their own unique functions. There are certain sprays that are for matte outcome, meaning if you have an oily skin, you want your makeup to last longer, then you use those kind of setting sprays. Now whatever the case may be, I always use a water rather to set my face. Yes, I have water in my bottle. I used to set my face because I like a skin-like finish. I like a skin-like finish. For me, when it comes to makeup on my face, because I have oily skin, my goal is to have a skin-like finish while still keeping oil at bay or still controlling oil. So if I know that I'm going out for 3-4 hours, I will definitely have my setting spray or my water in this case, and then go over with a mattifying setting spray. Now the essence of me doing that is because I want a skin-like finish that water will give me, but then I also want to keep at that the setting spray will give me. I realized that if I go straight to using a mattifying setting spray, my makeup is going to be at bay, yes, but it's going to look as if I have concrete on. It might not feel heavy, but there are people that when you see them, it looks as if the makeup is heavy. Even if it is very breathable, it doesn't feel heavy to that person. It could look very heavy because of the drying products, because of the drying functions of the different products the person has applied on her skin. So we went for a mattifying product, which was our primer. We also went for a mattifying foundation. Now we are now going for a mattifying finishing spray or Lookl spray, whatever people call it. These drying products, if you don't layer them carefully, your makeup is going to look heavy, it's going to look like paper, it's going to look like it's concrete or cast that is on your face. You will not feel comfortable, trust me. So that is why I do this technique. And with applying water or spraying your face with water, when you spray your face with water, you want to ensure that you leave it for a few seconds to dry. Let it not completely dry, let your face still be damp before you go in with your setting spray. Because if you apply this water and you go straight with your setting spray, it is going to reduce the effect of this. The setting spray is to, that's in my case, reduce transference of the makeup as well as make my makeup last longer. mattify the look even more, right? So if I go with water straight and then go with this immediately, the water is going to reduce the effect of this. And if I go with this and then I wait for a long time before applying the setting spray, it's also going to have an effect whereby my face is now going to be too dry, and not just too dry, I'm not going to have that skin-like finish that I am going for. So while that is drying, I'm going to go over to do my lips. I have stain on my skin. I don't know if you can see it as a result of the mascara. You can easily fix that. If you have any smudging of your mascara on your skin, you can easily fix that by allowing the mascara to dry. Let that mascara dry. Let your setting spray or your water, whatever you applied on face, let it dry. When it's dry, you get a tiny precise brush and just brush it off. It falls off quickly. So do not make the mistake of trying to clean it off when your face is still wet or when the mascara is still wet. It will just mess your makeup up, so be careful. That will come to the end of this video. As you can see, even for someone who has an oily skin, the outcome doesn't show that the person has layered mattifying product. Okay, even though that's what I did, I just had to, you know, put in some tips and tricks so that it doesn't look like I have concrete or plaster all over my face. Okay, so that's what we want to go for, skin-like look, and you know, still helping to control oil, or a hydrating look and still wanting your makeup look lasting longer depending on your skin type. So I hope you like this look. I did my eyeshadow obviously behind the camera. Is very subtle, very subtle. I have been able to correct the regions of my face as underneath my eyes where I had my mascara smudged on it. My makeup looks skin like. This makeup is going to last for a while before oil starts seeping through. Remember, it is not everlasting. No product can make or keep your oil from coming out at all, just so you know. And yeah, I like this look. I decided to go for my brows. I decided to use or do a brow that is lighter. I would normally go for a darker brow. I prefer a darker brow any day, but I decided to go for a lighter brow this time around. So I don't know, what do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section if you have any question. I have been able to show you all and teach you all some few tips. I think we're up to 5 tips or 4 tips and tricks that I have learned in this journey for years. So please, if you have any question, let me know in the comment section. Do not forget to like, to share and subscribe, and tell me the kind of videos you want to see next. Until I see you next time, I love this and God bless.